you live in a place where you have people around you, what is your relationship between them? Are you a Muslim or you are a Christian? Whichever you are, you have a role and responsibility. And today, we are looking at neighbors and you. My name is Imam Fuad Adeyemi, and this is Abrahamic Mission. To join me in the studio today, by the special grace of God, is those popular peacemaker, interfaith specialists, and I call them humanists. And join me in welcoming Pastor James Novel Wuye, Co-Executive Director, Interfaith Mediation Center, Kaduna.
Thank you for having me, and peace be to all of us out there.
And to my senior brother, who is also a Co-Executive Director at Interfaith Mediation Center, Ustaz Dr. Imam Norey Ashafa.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Meaning, the peace and blessing of Almighty be with you all.
Jointly with them, we are going to discuss neighbors are you. But before we go there, we have a lot of messages that we received from our viewers in the last few weeks. And this one says, "Good day, sir. I think this program is changing a lot of plans and plots I'm having against the Muslims in my environment. Is it because of the way and nature our country is going? But I pray God should take absolute control." Dr. JV. Did you listen to that message or you want me to come back?
No, quite clear that the program has changed his plan and plot against the Muslims around his environment. And for that reason, he is asking God to help him. And he said, I pray God should help him.
So God should take absolute control.
Mm-hmm. That is very well. Because he said God should take absolute control. For me, that's a repentant heart. Somebody who has a change of attitude. He intended to do something. He called it plot and plan. And in contemporary English, when you say you are plotting, usually it's something negative that will follow the word plot and plan. But for the fact that this program has affected him, and let me use the word, has infected him with a new positive energy and virus, and has changed his mindset, and he's saying that the Almighty should take control. I think the Almighty has already taken control. The fact that you have even called, or he has even sent this text message, it shows that it's a change. And that is what God wants. And if you think of evil in your heart, and I think that might be evil, because he said God should take control. If he has any intention that is not positive and God has touched his heart, he has repented, he has been forgiven. And so for me, let him go with that newness of love that he has. That let him change that negative energy to positive energy and begin to infect his Muslim neighbors with a good virus of love, virus of togetherness, and virus of kindness.
Yes, and for me, sincerely, I think one of the major challenges, if you look at this, the bottom line is lack of knowledge about the others. Most of us, we live with our own perception of who is our neighbor. What we had heard about somebody similar somewhere, we carry it and we distance ourselves from our neighbors because of that perception we have about them. It is just seeing a Muslim talking and continue to say, oh, if this is truly what the Muslim is, then there are good Muslims somewhere there. I think God should take control. So that means that not only for a Christian to Muslims, even Muslims to others, we have similar stereotypes and prejudices that we grow with in our community and make us to hate our neighbors who have done us nothing. But because of the crime of someone somewhere, we look at all of them and we generalize the statement. I think this should be a good turning point for all of us as viewers and listeners at the same time to say we don't generalize. The crime of one shouldn't be the punishment for all.
I think we should thank the Nigerian Television Authority Management for this program, because what it has done, it has actually solved a problem that over 10, 20, 30 years have not been able to solve. So many conferences and workshops have not been able to solve. And within few weeks, things are changing. then we pray that God will continue to support the management and the staff of the NTA for this, because it really touched my heart that some people can say this, some people can feel this, but we have heard it. Let me read another message. Say, please, I want you to clear this quote that some people normally quote, that whoever kill as many as will be rewarded with virgins in heaven. Please, Imam, is it true or is it written in the Quran? James from Abia State.
James, what I know in the Quran, this is you know what we call tale by moonlight. It's even far away from tale by moonlight, because you can connect tale by moonlight to certain things. This has nothing to do in the Quran. It has nothing, no basis. What the Quran have in Quran chapter 5 verse 2 downward, you find that the Quran, Allah was talking to us by saying, whoever save the life of one is as if he saved all mankind together. And whoever killed one is as if the value of destroying all mankind together. So the Quran is about saving life and protecting the honor of the others. So if you kill somebody, you are going to hell. Whoever does that will go to hell. Whoever, you have no excuse as a Muslim. No Muslim have an excuse to kill, maim, or hurt the other person. The judgment is not in your hand. Even if the person commit homicide, you can't take law into your hand. Islam does not give room for jungle justice. No room for that in the Quran. If you do that, you report to the authority, and the authority have only right to take the appropriate legislative principles or judicial processes on that particular person who are perceived to have committed that crime. You have no right to do so. It has no basis in the Quran. Anybody who can, if you kill an animal wrongly, you go to hell. Kill an animal, just not for food, wrongly, for game. That's why game hunting is forbidden in Islam. Game hunting is what? Forbidden. Talk less of getting to a human being.
Also, do you want to say something as you...
Yeah, I think he has rightly addressed it, as he has always told me about such such understanding of the order about killing and having several rewards of several women in the hereafter. So if this is the explanation he has always told me, I think he has addressed the issue adequately.
Well, thank you. This man says, well, it's related, but probably I should not read it. He said, why is Islam synonymous with terrorism? As if Islam does not preach love. Which is Beku as about Delta State. I don't know whether you have answered it or I should.
Well, I would say, there's no similarity between terrorism and Islam. Terrorism is to terrorize people. And Islam, when they meet you, they say salam alaikum. When they depart, they say salam alaikum. When they want to pray, they start with salam. God of the name of their God is Allah. Allah is called Al-Salam, the God of love, the God of peace is Allah. And then when they finish their prayer, they say salam alaikum, salam alaikum. When they meet you on the way, they say salam. How can such an attitudinal, behavioral, cultural religion be able to say synonymous with terrorism? Terror is to strike terror, to create fear, panic, to use any means necessary in order to attain a political goal. That's a terrorism. Terrorism in any form, either moral, psychological terrorism, spiritual terrorism, it has no basis in Islam. And you can never find a basis for it in the pages of the Holy Quran. It has no place in us. They have no similarity, no basis. That's why the Quran, in Quran chapter 25, I love to quote every day, it describes who is a Muslim is. When they say Ibadur Rahman, Alladhina yamshuna anan aridi awnan, fa'iza khatabakumul jahiluna, qalu salama. He said a Muslim is he who walks with humility. He's not an arrogant person. A person who walks humbly. And the person who terrorizes others, are they the same? And he said the person, when you provoke him, only say Kalu Salama, and the peacemaker. Yeah. So a Muslim is not with peacemaking. Anything opposite is fake. He's a fake Muslim. If you put that name and you do that, he cannot be true to that face.
Okay. Somebody say, thank you, sir. Someone say, I think fasting keeps us away from sin. It's our past episode on fasting. At the same time, it makes us to know the difference between the poor and the rich. But I want you to emphasize on the kingdom of God, because Matthew 6:33 is a very good subject matter for fasting. Sir, let people follow what the Bible says and what the Quran says, so that let everyone follow the Bible and the Quran injunction. My name is Olarinde Joseph. I love this conversation. God bless you all. This one also is a question. Is it good to abstain ourselves from food and fruit for 1 or 2 days in the name of dry fasting? You want to, I should just leave it like that?
Well, you see, because we are responding to the messages that people have sent. Abstinence from a particular food, fasting, for me, is a desire that you take willingly, that you want to restrain, suppress the body to uplift the spirit. So if anything you love so much, if you can do away with it during that period, particularly dry fasting, you have to check your health. Dry fasting is a fasting that some people take to subdue the body. But if your body cannot withstand that rigorous challenge you give to it, don't go to doing it. Otherwise, one can kill he or herself doing that. But dry fasting, I recommend always that people should watch out so that they don't get dehydrated and get injured.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, alhamdulillah. But I want to end, before we go on break, I just want to end this small message, which I like. He said, please, I would like this program to continue every day or thrice a week, because this program always unites Nigeria. Thank you. With that, we'll go on a short break.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
You're welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Abrahamic Mission, where we discuss religion the way it is, not the way it ought to be, so that we will understand and appreciate ourselves the more. Then we'll be able to live happily, peacefully, and harmoniously. Today we are discussing neighbors and you. Incidentally, we have people who are neighbors, and they are living as neighbors. They are example of neighbors. Join me in welcoming Pastor James Moveruye, the Co-Executive Director of Interfaith Mediation Center in Kaduna. Pastor, once again, you are welcome.
Thank you for having me again.
And Dr. Imam Nurain Ashafa is my senior brother. He's also the Co-Executive Director of Interfaith Mediation Center, also in Kaduna. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I don't even know where to start, because each time I see you, I know I've seen neighbors. Well, probably because I'm seeing you, does not allow me to know what exactly I want to do, but probably you will define yourself for me. What is neighbor?
Thank you very much. This is very important. I cannot talk about neighbor without referring to what Jesus Christ says about who a neighbor is.
Fine.
Because Jesus will always give this analogy of the Good Samaritan, where a particular person of the same faith with him, and one that also was the same ethnicity, and one was his spiritual leader. And all of these people saw their brother in great need and did not help him. And when the other person who was seen as the demeaning somebody of those that are called unbelievers came around, he showed kindness, took care of the sick person, paid his subsistence bill, and Jesus asked his disciple, who is a neighbor to this? They said, that guy who took care of himself, not really belonging to the same faith, not really belonging to the same language, but somebody that was seen as an outcast. For me, a neighbor is that person that cares for his immediate cohabiter, whether the cohabiting is on the earth, in the city, or a place of work, or a religious space. That person that says, I will do for myself. I would like that thing that I like to do for myself. I want that person to also experience it, which falls in the golden rule. And the law that Jesus gave says, Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your strength, with all your might, and your neighbor as yourself. And he then further says, do unto your neighbors what you want others to do unto you. That is the golden rule, and which my colleague and I are ambassadors preaching the golden rule around the world, particularly representing the African continent.
You are not taking me. You are not taking me.
You will join us because you are already doing it. So you are also an ambassador of the golden rule. Thank you for anchoring this program. Very soon you will be with us.
Okay, I'll be looking forward to it. Imam.
Well, for me, I think when you talk of a neighbor, the first thing that comes to your mind is the next door. To some people, it is their next door. To some, it is their brother, their next of kin, their tribesmen, their townmen, whoever is closer to them become their neighbor. But to others, it is their colleagues in the office they see as neighbors. And others, but in Islam, it's inclusive of all this process put together. The neighbor number one, the Quran in chapter 4 verse 36 define a neighbor as somebody, when he was defining how to give out the zakat as an institution. And he was saying, the Quran put one thing very clear, you cannot even be a believer. You can never be until what? Until you honor your neighbor. Until you respect him. And who is this neighbor? He said they define them into three categories. Their near neighbor, their distant neighbor, and their neighbors or you met on the wayfarer on the other side, who you relate from a companion on the other side from a distant neighbor. So the immediate neighbor is the one next house to you, and this man next house to you, and then they define it is the person who have, when you cook your food, if the aroma of the food smell to his house, he's entitled to eat from that food. He's the guy, when you have one from the Quran, or you just assume. It is a tradition of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. If you cook a food in your house, you must help your neighbor, you must serve your neighbor that food. How? Your neighbor. Is it because you are cooking? No, because he's smelling, he's perceiving what you are doing, that is why you give him, or if he doesn't smell it or perceive it. He has no right to it. You cook a food and the other one was looking at the food. Okay. He's looking at the food. It is a mandatory right for him. It's just like the second condition. If your neighbor is sick, you must visit him. If he's in sorrow, you must console with him. It is a must. I think we are going there. We are going to that. So I just want to know that what is neighbor from Quranic or from Islamic point of view? I'm moving to responsibility already. It is very clear. The neighbor is persons next to you. Either closer, first category is very close to you. Second category, your neighbor, the one you work together in the same office, with your neighbor in the next office to your office, he's still your neighbor. Your neighbor is he who or she nearer that when you are in hour of need, you can raise your voice, he's just there for you. Okay. That is a neighbor in Islam. Okay. And then the conversation, it's how many of her? 40 houses on your left, 40 houses on your right. I think that's where I want to. That's where I want to go precisely. Exactly. Who are these neighbors? Because some people believe your neighbor is just the person you are living in the same flats, or you are living in the same environment. Yeah. Who are these neighbors? Then, to what level can a particular place you can define a neighbor? To what level is a neighbor
What I mean is, let's say you stay in the house now. You can have houses here and there. Let's say you are in an office. You can have people in offices here and there. What is the extent of neighborliness? Who are your neighbor?
Well, the neighbor is somebody that you need to make happy. You see, I did say we cohabit a space with somebody. And the teaching of the Bible, Christ actually defined the neighbor, as I said in Luke chapter 10, verse 27. He says you should love the neighbor. And then he further says that in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 24, Christ also expresses who your neighbor is. Somebody that you will, it's like if the spiritual growth of that person, the material growth of that person, the strength of the person in terms of his capacity to live, you are supposed to. You say, if your neighbor comes to you and he seek anything, you say, give it to him quickly. If food, give him the food.
If the person maybe is richer than you, he comes to you to beg for something, and is your neighbor.
It says, even those who think they are prosecuting you by that stride of coming to you, though he has it, you say, give it to him. You see, if a person say go 1 mile, go 2 miles with him. So when you do that, it says, when somebody asks you for your share, you say, add the coat on it, give it to him. So that, guys, the Bible did not say whether it's a rich or poor. A rich person can come like that to try your faith. You say, give it to him. And even, he says, even that guy he becomes mischievous. You say, love the person. So the neighbor is somebody that needs to be loved. And in loving for a neighbor, Christ said at the end of time, some people will come to me. I say, and God will say, come and enter. When I was hungry, you gave me food. When I was naked, you gave me dress. When I was in prison, you visited me. He said, when did we see you? He said, when you did it to the least of my brothers, that's what you are doing unto me. So that is Christ telling his followers at the end of time. So we are supposed to be clothers of our people, feeders of our people, visitor of our people, helping those in need. In that way, you are doing the work of a neighbor, and that's what a neighbor needs to do to his fellow neighbor.
Because the way you have put it, now, does it mean it's a Christian to a Christian, that is what is meant as a neighbor?
For us in Islam, I think it's very, very clear. Your neighbor goes beyond the border of religion, beyond the border of blood, beyond the border of ethnicity. He's my town man, he's my townsman, he's my religious person. Whoever is your neighbor, to the extent of distance of 40 houses on your left, 40 houses on your right, this 40 in front and 40 houses behind you, they have legitimate right to responsibility of taking care of them, of helping them when they need it, of when they invite you, you need to be there for them, when you see them in need, you need to be there for them. And that's why Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it clear. We remember the case of his neighbor who is throwing dustbin into his house every day. He's a neighbor. When he took out a dustbin, whenever he sweep his own compound, instead of throwing the dust into the bin in his own house, he threw it into the fences of the Prophet ﷺ house. And every time he does it, the Prophet will just sweep it, pack it together, and put it in the dustbin. Then he just continue doing that to the Prophet, and the Prophet never get angry to go and fight up with him. But what did the Prophet did? One day, after some few days, the man he didn't see the trash again. No trash coming, no dust. What is happening? Refused, is no more coming. Then what happened? They say that neighbor, who is not a Muslim, said that neighbor is sick. And the Prophet went to, and one of his right, he went there to greet him. And in greeting him, he said, why did you come? He said, I didn't see that dustbin you used to throw again to pack. That's why I feel something, so I should come and console with you. And for that magnanimity of the heart of the Prophet to his neighbor, the neighbor accepted Islam. This shows to us that, and he's not a Muslim, he's not an Arab, he's a Jewish neighbor. You could see the difference within the two frameworks. So your neighbor must not be your townsman. He must not be your transman. He must not be from your faith. In Islam, a neighbor is a neighbor as long as circumstance has put it together. That's why even as a wayfarer, when you move on the journey, the person you travel together on the journey, he becomes your neighbor, and is responsible, that you are going to responsibility of a neighbor to a neighbor, and you see the chain of what he's entitled to in your own hand.
You get that. I think I've experienced what the imam and the pastor you are saying. I was living in a house some years back. I am a Muslim and a man from one part of the country. Then I have a neighbor, and then all my children were boys. I have a neighbor who are from South, Christian. All their children were girls. Gradually, little by little, we became friends, we became close. Times I go there, we making bragging to them, saying, one of my sons can marry all your daughters. Then something happened. We have to leave that house. Because I've not gotten where to go, as a Nigerian man, they have gotten, they said they will not go because they can't divorce.
Oh, that's interesting.
They did not leave until we get our own. When they are going out, they leave their key with us because we always have somebody at home. And when they are not around, all their children, they left them with us. And up to today, when I don't see them, I don't feel comfortable. This, I think, we're trying to mimic what people are trying to do.
Exactly.
That as a man, as a woman, as a man or a woman who professes religion, or who think he has any relationship with God, your neighbor is important to you. People around you are your neighbors, and they are part of you. Then if you have the neighbors, what should we be doing to them in the name of responsibility? What should they be doing to us in the name of responsibility? That's all that I want to.
That's a very good example of the way you live with your neighbors, which is what we all grew up to do and to believe. Because if you see a neighbor is sometimes better than a brother.
Exactly.
Because if anything happens to you, it's your neighbor that will hear first and will come to your aid. The Christian faith is about lifting up Christ by our characters. Jesus said, if I be lifted up, I will draw men unto myself. It is time that we exemplify the love of Christ. Because, you see, the fact that people say, I'm a Christian, I go to church. But when I meet somebody that is not my faith or is not from my clan, I behave antagonistically towards the person. I antagonize the person, I do not show love. I cannot even share. That somebody is not practicing the love of Christ. So for me, if you want to say what neighbor should be doing to each other,
that's responsibility.
Yes, there should be competition. Okay, Christians should compete with the Muslims. How? Over trying to outwit them in doing good. For me, yes. For now, if my neighbor a fasting Muslim, I should buy food, buy oranges, give him to break his fast. In that way, I am showing love that Christ said I should love to all mankind. Irrespective, it's the whole world. Christ does not say one faith or the other faith. No. The message is a universal message and it's to everybody. So, sir, if today I give you a bowl of orange, tomorrow probably you want to show, I will show this man that in my religion I can do better. I'll give him a bag of orange. A bag of rice. Orange or rice, or even bring a ram and say take and eat with your family. When we compete, not, you see, practically, sir, what we do today unfortunately in some part of Nigeria, we are competing over who killed the most.
May God forgive us.
We need to be forgiven. There is too much blood on the ground because people are not living as neighbors again. How many people did you kill? How many mosques did you burn? How many churches did you burn? How many people did you kill? This is not where we should compete. Let's be competing. You see this Agbada? I want next time we are on program, you dash me one Agbada. I will tell you what is an imam who gave me Agbada. There is a Baba Identity of the Blessed Name.
Yeah, God forgive him.
He gave me, one day I will wear the dress. I still keep it as a souvenir. Big Agbada, he said, my son, wear this.
Who is celebrity?
Abrahamic was the former Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs. He's gone back to the great door. He showed me love that I can't take it. I can't imagine. So this is what we should be doing. Don't it?
Well, it's a good thing as he just put it. I think for me, I'd say he's just imitating Islam. That's what Islam says.
Who is imitating Islam?
Pastor is imitating Islam.
Good. Yeah, how?
Islamic teaching.
How? I want to know.
Because it is Islam that told us that our neighbor, they are entitled to 4 important principles.
One.
Number 1, their honor. You have to protect their honor. Number 2, their property. You cannot be there. When you talk about honor, you cannot be there when somebody is backsliding, humiliating, backbiting, or dishonoring your neighbor. You have to fight against to protect his honor. Number 2, he says his property. You must protect his property. Number 3, when he's doing ceremony, if he invites you, it is a must for you. If he invites you for his marriage feast, or giving out his daughter, or he's doing something of happiness, it is compulsory for you, you must be there. And when he's sick, or in a sorrow situation, you must be there for him. These are basic principles in Islam.
You want to react to it?
Because he says, please, I want you to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. These are Christian principles. He says, if the goat of your rab or rab of your neighbor strays and fall into a dish, and you did not help him to bring it out, it means the dignity of that person you have abused. He said, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's good, your neighbor's wife, your neighbor's property. You should always feel good that your neighbor is getting. So rejoice with them. So when we begin to compete over rejoicing and we begin to enjoy that feeling, it's infectious.
He's copying us. You know why I think he's copying us?
No, just continue.
I think one thing that the people of Islam has done so much to show that it's not just when he's even worried. There's a event when the man, even when he died, the neighbors died, and the prophet of Islam, the neighbor was taken away to the burial ground. This is a non-Muslim neighbor, and the prophet stand up in honor of who? Of this particular person, the dead body of a Jewish neighborhood who was taken to the grave. And the companion were asking, "Oh Muhammad sallallahu, why do you stand up for this? He's not a Muslim. Number 2, he's even a Jew. Number 3, he's even a dead body." And Muhammad responded, "Don't you know how the soul in that body is it not of God?" And that's why in another tradition it says, he swore by him in whose life is what? Is his soul, that you have not known so much right that God has given to a neighbor. He said, at times I feel that one day if a law will come that will make me to share my inheritance, my neighbor should be part of those who will be entitled to my inheritance. You see now, this is advanced level of how to say that your neighbor is almost part and parcel of your family.
I think I have a problem here.
Yes, tell me what is the problem.
If this is as if the two of you are reading the same book, or somebody is peeping the other to read, to tell us what the religion says. Because it's either you are reading the same book or somebody is peeping the other in reading what you are telling us now. Then the question now is, why is it that we are not seeing this impact? But we won't answer it now until after this short break. I want to say why are we actually not demonstrating this? We will answer this after the short break.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits, They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Yeah, welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Abrahamic Mission, and it's been extremely lively, it's been extremely interactive, and it's been extremely promising that what we are supposed to be doing that we have not been doing, these our brothers, these our ambassadors have actually been demonstrating it. But you can also be part of this program by sending only messages or WhatsApp messages. Please do not make any call. The number you can join us on is 070-449, another 44949. Let me come again. 070-44-9-44-9-49. That is the number. You can send your WhatsApp messages or text messages to be part of this program. We shall read it out, but please don't call. It is just for messages. We are still discussing neighbors. What do we do? How do we see? Why are we not seeing what you, our leaders, you are telling us? Why are we not seeing it in practice? Why are we seeing the opposite? What is happening?
Yes. I will say that we have left the basic principle of coexistence, which our scriptures have given us. One, there is an organization that believes in 4 absolutes, and they believe everyone, irrespective of his faith, if he practices this one, there will be success. So because we are selfish, the average person living within our territory, many people are selfish. So unless we do away with selfishness, which comes with greed, we will not be seeing the issues of the rights of the neighbor in among our people. Number 2, we must have purity of heart. If your hearts are not pure, blessed are the pure in heart, in spirit. The Bible is very strong about that. If you are not pure, then your minds will always be having evil things. Number 3 is we should have unconditional love. Don't love the person because he is your brother or sister. No, love him because he's a fellow human being. And if you cut your blood, it will be the same red blood. So we in this country, and whoever is listening to us anywhere in the world, if we love unconditionally, we have purity, we are unselfish, then we do what? We have purity, love, unselfishness, and then of course with these pillars, we will be able to exemplify the issue of love and will care. And Nigerians will begin to see love in action. When we know we can be satisfied and begin to share. And sharing is reciprocal. When you give, you get back.
I think for me, one of the most important things why we are not getting it there is the issue of greed. Greed. The issue of self-centeredness. The issue of I replacing we. In the spirit of our faith, it's more community-oriented. It's more family-oriented. It's more that inclusiveness. In those days as children, the culture is you don't eat. And I remember my brother would always say, you don't eat closing your eyes looking down. You are eating looking at the table. Who is coming on the way? Come and join us. But well, come and join us. We are on food. Come and join. Now, the individualism has taken hold of us. So we abandon the elementary teaching of our religion. When we abandon the elementary system, we don't teach our children this culture. The children grows with this I, and the I in I, it becomes the arrogant self, and the greed, and then we never know enough is enough. Then the concept of respect for the other is no more there. So that's why today you see among people of faith, you say, why is it that somebody is so much full of faith, but the value is not translated into actions? Because the belief he has. Then there's absolute faith. Faith, believe in God, which goes back to absolute purity of intention, which goes back to absolute love, my brother talk about, and unselfishness. So the faith is no more deep in our heart. When you have faith, is to have to be certain in the face of uncertainties, is to be faithful, to be hopeful in the face of hopelessness. People don't want to be hopeful anymore. It's about I must get it whatever it takes. And that replaces, and that's why the value, the virtues in our faith and traditions is dwindling away. So we are becoming, as some of say, financially bankrupt industry. Now we are becoming morally and spiritually bankrupt. It is the level of a spiritual bankruptcy that this is what we are saying today. He is my brother. Wherever I may go, I will never abandon him. He is my brother.
You are true. I can never abandon you.
And we have to work together.
You have been abandoning me.
You get it? We have to work together because
you are with us since.
We living in the big city with the villa people, with the few people in the villa. You are in the village. So what we are saying is that as Nigerians, you that are in the big cities, remember those in the village. In those days, every weekend we spend it in the village. We share the little you have for your month, for your income and the week, or at the end of the month, you come back home to the village. You spend 2 days in the village. How many are bringing their children to the village today? Those ethical values.
That's where I want to go now.
That's what is missing, and that's why we don't see our neighbors anymore as neighbors. We see them as competitors, as rivals, not as friends. Not as opportunity for growth. When you talk about your own neighbor spirits of your neighbors, they entrust their children to their own neighbors. To you. You are a Muslim, they are Christian, and they know you are a Muslim, imams. They give you their children. And when they start for them to leave, when even they have better opportunity, because of that unselfishness, absolute unselfishness, absolute love, they say we are not going, we don't want to leave you alone here to make you vulnerable. We wait, you get your own, we go together. That is a Christian waiting for a Muslim. That is what, at that point in time, there is this compassionate heart of living by faith. Today, people are living by opportunities. Any opportunity they want to grab. And that's why these values and virtues are missing. And because we miss them, we are missing everything.
I think there was a man, or there is a man in Plateau that was recently honored by American government. Yeah. That during the crisis in Plateau, he saved Christians and put them in his mosque at the risk of his own life, which at the end of the day, he saved them. And today, the man is a hero. Now, what do we do? Somebody has demonstrated it one thing. Do we continue to complain and just say things getting rotten? What do we do to improve relationship between neighbors and neighbors?
I wish to congratulate the Imam who did that. That is to show at the risk of his life he did what he did. I do also believe Nigerians are not totally out of that. And stories, if brought to the fore, you see so many who have done that. I know of people also in our work who went to build back a dilapidated house together of one faith. Who went together, young people came together and built back. That was as far back as 1987, 98, in areas where people have come together. These values need to be known. I wish there would be a program where you will one day invite people who have saved people's life in value in this in kind of this crisis to see what happened to them. Those who have been saved, to see what people have done to them, because we still have that. And what we need to do is to amplify that. And we need to further say to people that this thing that this Imam did, more imams should do it. This thing that this pastor did, more pastors should do it. We should live practically.
No, by God's grace, very soon,
our scripture have said.
Very soon, we actually do that, at least on this program. Very soon. We want to see what Muslims have done for Christians that they love, what Christians have done for Muslims that they love, what keeps them together, family and communities that are working together like that. We are going to showcase them very soon, and we won't be part. You want to react to what he has said?
Absolutely. To say that, just as he said, just to echo what he says, I want to say that these are, today, virtues, honesty, are not rewarded anymore. In those days, people want to give their children to somebody who is honest, who has integrity, who has spirit of togetherness, who is a symbol of compassion, who are courageous people who are taking courageous steps. These are people they want to give their children to. If you shout in other children, they don't want to see you. So now, and to bring this back, there are people like that. These people, how do we bring back honor for virtues? Not for materialism and wealth, affluence. Because wealth does not create happiness.
Yeah, definitely.
Wealth does not create what? Happiness. What creates happiness is virtues. And these virtues are found within our religious what? Traditions. Today I will say I'm one of the most happiest person in the world. Because I live without enemy. No room to hate anybody. That is me.
I can see it.
And I don't know, maybe Pastor have something similar to tell you.
I can tell you.
Because that's what Islam teach me to do. Yeah. And I'm living by these values of Islam.
If you allow hate can eat up the person who hates and leave the person that is hating. And so, like a popular person, whether it's one of the musicians, says that they are so poor that all they have is money.
Yes.
So that poverty is what we... And Nigerians, I want to say, except we begin to check our values, our neighbors will not mean anything. We have a flamboyant lifestyle that from marriage to burials, from some burials to certain ceremonies, is so flamboyant that it's about me, myself, my ego. Now the other person that's out there that needs help is not done. And except we do that, that verse of the Bible that Christ quoted and say, I was hungry, you did not feed me. I was naked, you did not clothe me. So we, from the faith, I'm understanding this guy is stealing from Christianity. That all he's saying is that when I say something, but that is Christianity.
But you know, remember that is Hadith Qudsi.
What is Hadith Qudsi?
The Hadith Qudsi, this is a personal conversation between man and God. And this is between the prophetic traditions without any transferences. And that Hadith Qudsi is saying, the prophet told us what? There's a group of people on the day of judgment. They will come and Allah will say he doesn't know them. Allah will say, I visit you. When I was sick, you didn't come to visit me in the hospital. When I'm naked, you didn't give me clothes to wear. And when I'm thirsty, I even come for water. You never give me water to drink. Because of that today, today myself, I don't know you. Then the man will ask and say, oh Allah, when are you hungry? That I didn't give you food. When are you thirsty? That I didn't give you water. You are too much. When are you naked that I didn't give you food? And this is Islamic traditions. There are scriptural references within the Islamic traditions. So you see now, he's still for
I'm becoming happier.
So if these are the moral values we share, why should we have these walls? Why are we building walls instead of bridges across the divide?
I think I had an experience. Yeah. My grandfather was an imam in my town. He made us believe that as at the time we are growing, we didn't know whether we are Muslim or Christians. One, when they post a Catholic priest to our town, the place where the Catholic priest lives is just the other street from our house. And our father, who was the man we called the Catholic priest, said, if you need, I have children, pick any number you want so that they will be your houseboy. They will be washing, they will be cleaning, they will be doing water. Incidentally, I was one of those that the pastors used, the Catholic used to carry. as their boy. I started speaking English from there.
Wow.
So, as at that time, we didn't know whether we are Muslim, whether we are Christian, because it's even our father who was the imam, who will ask us to go and be serving them as houseboys. They will not even pay us. I didn't their pay, perhaps we will have appreciated. And I was very sure our father was not collecting one kobo from them. But just to say that, since you are here, we are also, since you are there, we are here, and we are here for you. These are the kind of things we learned from my. We want to say something.
My uncle's house, we have this kettle, and we have praying mats, and none of our relatives are Muslims, but they keep it when a Muslim is passing. In Juku, when a Muslim is passing, you say you want to rest, please, there is a place for you in the parlor. We call it like the door, the house before the main house. In Badakula, it's called Zori. Okay. Yeah, it's an entry before the main house. So you have a praying mat, you have water, and each time they will make sure that we put that clean water in that place, waiting for a person to pass, a Muslim to pass. When he passes, he will be called, you have a place. And they come, they do their prayers, and they go. And see, I just wish we can be as it was before. But we have people who have inculcated new ideas that is derailing our real part of neighbor. Who is my neighbor and what are my responsibilities? So I do feel so pain.
Okay, I will tell you about the story of Galilee. Where I'm listening.
For me, I think one important thing is you are not a faith. As long as you respect not your neighbor, you cannot claim to be a Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ has made it very clear. The sanctity, your honor as a person of faith is seeing how comfortable are your neighbors. As long as your neighbor are not comfortable with you, their testimony before God testify to who you are even in heaven. Your place, your slate of abode. So please and please, if you are Muslims, go back and look for your neighbor with whom you have a grudges. Go and resolve that, or else your prayer is useless, is baseless. Your salat will be unacceptable. Your fasting will go in vain. You cannot be true Muslims. You cannot be a Muslim when you have a grudges with your neighbor. Allah doesn't need your salat. Allah doesn't need your fasting because they are basis. Unfortunately, we know the poorest of the poor. Who is he? Is the guy who comes the day of judgment with heavy good works, heavy load, wealth of good virtues of work he did. Then they start calculating who he has hurt. The neighbor, he steal his cow. The neighbor, he hurt him. The neighbor, he caught pains. They start removing the virtues of all his good work. And all those good work end zero. He ran deficit. They start looking at what are the bad things the other guy has done that can be equivalent to the hurt he caused his neighbor on earth. Then they'll start taking that bad from his own negative virtues and adding to the pains to release the pains of the man he hurted and put the pain on his head. That is what is going to happen. Then he end up going to hell because of the pain he caused to all his neighbors.
What advice would you give
for me is to say that if you want to know that one who Imam has just taken away, that when a neighbor, when in the end of time you are not evaluated based on the good things you have done, then you have lost completely what you need to do, what you are supposed to gain on earth. If it says it is, if you carry your offering and you go to offer on the altar, and you remember that you have unsettled dispute with your brother or sister. Now, the sister or neighbor is a cohabiter. It's not necessarily your brother in faith or your brother. No, you have something you have done against your neighbor. You see, God will not take your offering. God will not take your sacrifice. Leave that on the altar. Go first, settle with the person that you have hurt. Then before you come, then God will accept it. So for me, just like he has said, it is expected that we do that which is expedient by reconciling, forgiving our neighbors, settling the dispute with our neighbors, then we can now go with God. How can you say you love God if you hate your neighbor? You say you are a liar. That you say I love God, and you hate your neighbor, then you are not a Christian. A Christian must love his neighbor as himself.
That is why we are putting it on. You should love your neighbor like yourself. This is why we call it the day for today. We thank you for being part of this, and you there too, we appreciate you for being there. Until when we meet next week, this is Abrahamic Vision. Thank you.